Hello. Today is the 8th of April 2022, and I guess I'm making today's video log. What do I have to talk to today? What do I have to talk about today, rather? When I talk to myself, I guess this is not talking to myself, but when I talk and it's not directly in front of other people, and maybe sometimes even when it is in front of other people, I talk quite unclearly. I stammer and stutter over my words sometimes, and I can't find the right words to say at other times. But I think I just need to slow down because my mind works very fast. There's a lot of shit that goes on in my mind. It's like a storm, like a mind storm. But that's like every moment. And it's not very helpful because it's hard to articulate ideas at that speed. I'm not Eminem, I can't speak that fast. So I'll try and slow down so I'm more intelligible. But, hopefully you get what I'm saying either way. I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today before I go outside to have dinner with a friend. And I was thinking, well, maybe I was feeling lonely. And that's got me thinking, like, why? What is this thing, loneliness? And I thought that would be a fine topic for a vlog. I thought about maybe in the span of 20 minutes, 10 minutes, distracted as well. When my mind was working, churning out random thoughts when I was doing other things, because I have a noisy mind. And I get these strange ideas. I wanted to talk about loneliness, and the first thing that my mind does is that it divides, right? Because I was listening to one of the Indian mystics on YouTube, and they say it is the job of logic to divide. It divides concepts. It divides concepts so you can understand them logically, right? So, my identity is divided from someone else's identity, right? And so your brain can make sense of there being two people because it divides, and it also divides by say I have two similar things. What are the differences between them? They can't just be the same thing, right? This is quite poorly explained, I must say, but your perception of the world is merely division. What makes a blanket different to a pillow? One of them, they might be quite similar from first look, but a blanket is bigger, maybe a bit thinner, maybe a bit lighter, and it covers your whole body, while a pillow just covers the back of your head, right? And so to interpret the world, to interact with the world, we must divide things. But you see, Eastern spirituality thinks the opposite. It's not just dividing is important to interpret the world, but spiritually we need to integrate, right? We need to see that everything is really the same. And we're all just, in the Western way of thinking, we're all just a part of we're small parts of a big world. We're tiny, we're ants in the cosmic scale of things. And you are merely a part of the universe. And that makes you integrate rather than divide. I hope that makes sense. But again, that was a bit of a tangent. But again, my first instinct was to divide loneliness, to, instead of feeling it, I guess, to logically understand it. So what did I think? I thought that I guess there's several types of loneliness. The first of which I would chalk down to your friendships. You can be lonely because you have no friends, right? You have lonely because there's no one to share random details of your life or random interests with. And that's one type of loneliness. And what gives me the right to differentiate this from other types of loneliness? Well, you can have this satisfied. You can have friends, but you can still feel lonely. And why is that? You know, that's my question. That's like what I'm confused about. And I'm not friendless, you know, but despite interacting with them, I still kind of feel lonely in a weird way. And yeah, no, I don't have a relationship. I don't have a girlfriend or boyfriend for that matter. But you know, that is, you could just say, you know, you have friends, but you're lonely because you're not in a relationship, and that could be very true. You know, I'm not going to deny that. And usually, I think when people feel lonely, that's what they think will solve their problem. You know, oh, what is this feeling of loneliness I have? I have friends, so it can't be that I'm, you know, friendless. So what is this feeling of loneliness? And they assume that it is romantic loneliness, that they want a partner. And yes, that could be 100% true for me. I mean, I wouldn't mind a relationship of my own. But I'm the type to question these types of things, right? I'm not entirely sure, and we can never be entirely sure, I guess, that this feeling of loneliness is a romantic one. Rather, I feel sometimes even disconnected when I'm hanging out with my friends. Maybe I want to share something, some emotion, some existential realization with someone, but it is not the right mood, right? And we just talk about menial things. And even when I'm with my friends, in that case, I still feel lonely because the topic is not covering that. You know, it's not the right place to do that. And I'm not just going to bust out some existential bullshit in a you know, typically happy time. And so I feel lonely even when I'm with my friends sometimes. And I become a bit of a downer, you know. Everyone's enjoying themselves, and I'm just, you'd see me and you'd probably think, oh, fucking Craig's depressed. Maybe I am, but I'm lonely. And that's very different from the loneliness that someone with no friends would have. Maybe it's the same, you know. Maybe it's a urge, a longing to be understood. I mean, we all want to be understood, and we'll never have someone, we'll never know someone who has the same experience as we do, who can share the very depths of our human experience. You know, who can understand and empathize with every deep thought, every visceral emotion that we have. And that's what I think makes people lonely. I don't care how many friends you have. I don't care how many close friends you have. That you can still be lonely just by virtue of an inability to understand things that are deep and personal to you. I mean, think about it. It's literally impossible for someone to experience the same things I do, the same thoughts I do. And so if I define loneliness in that way, we are always lonely, always lonely. And there's nothing you can really do about that, because that's just how being a person works, right? And yeah, maybe this is just a curse of someone who's very existential, who thinks there's no inherent meaning to life, but thinks that you can make it. That, you weren't born with a purpose, but you can make it, you can make your own purpose, because nothing matters. So you may as well just do it yourself and rebel against the meaninglessness of the world. And few people understand that. And few people like to think about that sort of thing. It's a terrible, terrible thing to think about, because it will always lead you to absolute dread. And maybe that's what's important, That's why I feel few people understand me, even my closest friends. And the people who are interested in that type of thing, it's hard to get close to them as well, because I'm sure they're thinking about the same thing. I don't know. And those relationships also take time, but how deep can they truly go? Because you can still never have the same experience as them. And maybe the romantics are right. Maybe that hole can be filled with a relationship, with love, right? But I can see that can only fill a void that is shallower than the deep void of existence. Maybe unless they understand you. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, this type of loneliness maybe is the ultimate type of loneliness. It's not something that you can cure with some friends. I don't think it's something you can cure with a relationship. And I don't think it's something that you can cure at all, or that you should want to cure. It's a bit of an ethereal feeling. It's a feeling that is utterly interesting. If you ever feel this way, I say, revel in it, because being a human, the human experience is interesting. Every happy moment, every sad moment, every way that your body feels, every tingle in your body, every pressure you feel in your body, everything. It's all a part of the cinema that's your life. And so I say that perhaps instead of seeking and being disappointed about, well, being disappointed with the fact that you never solved this loneliness, perhaps you should just live in it and observe it and, you know, view it like a movie. And I suppose this even applies to the type that truly doesn't have any friends. That's just a part of life. It's a terrible saying, but you should experience every little subtle part of that. And in a way that's beautiful, because it means that you don't have to do anything. It means that no matter what you do, you can, maybe you're not, but you can do that. You can, no matter what your experiences, what your circumstances are, you could always simply experience and not carry yourself away with all of these noisy head thoughts that come in response to that loneliness. So maybe you feel this loneliness, whatever it might be, and maybe it is all the same. Maybe it is just the same feeling, but I'm dividing it in ways that make sense to me. And I'm fully willing to accept that it is the same feeling. And if it is merely your judgments of that loneliness that make you think certain things. So you have this feeling of loneliness, which I think that everyone has, and then you apply all sorts of things to it. If you have no friends, you say that loneliness is because you have no friends. If you have no relationship, you say that feeling is because you have no relationship. And if you have no meaning, you say that feeling is because you have no meaning. So whatever circumstance you're in, that you will always apply some sort of meaning to that loneliness. But there is no fucking meaning. You're just gonna be lonely. That's being human. And the best thing you can do, perhaps, is to accept that. Yeah. And I guess that's not to say that you shouldn't seek company, but in a way, seeking company, seeking a relationship that brings about its own experiences, but I think that there's really nothing that can be done, and that's beautiful in a way, because everyone feels that way, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll have to consult some people who are in relationships, but I'll ask them if they feel lonely sometimes. And I bet they will say, yes, of course. I almost guarantee it, but perhaps if you've just begun a relationship, you don't attribute that feeling anymore. Like maybe you don't feel it, but you certainly won't attribute that feeling to not having a girlfriend anymore because you have a girlfriend, for example. Yeah, I don't want to drag this on for too long because it's almost 20 minutes, and yesterday's recording was 50 minutes in total, 2 parts. And I don't want to make this even less watchable as it is. I hope this helps someone, and this is a thought that really comforts me a lot. Perhaps it makes me a bit complacent, but That's the truth of the universe. Maybe not the universe, but the truth of human experience that I figured out. And I hope I'm not being utterly naive by saying this. Yeah, I mean, to myself and anyone else watching, what do you think about that? Anyway, I'll catch you later. I don't want to have hours of footage by the first 2 days of this series, so I'll let you go. See ya.